because I think it's a topic that's not talked about enough at all, and the amount of shame, guilt, and the lack of understanding of the grief that comes with miscarriages and the struggle to kind of get over what you've experienced is really kind of hidden. So having gone through that experience myself, I learned so much, and most of it was not told to me by anyone. What you're told constantly is that this is so common. It's so common, it happens a lot, it's so common. People confuse common with normal. Normal as in like, this is not like a unique experience, it's not very traumatizing, and that makes it so much harder. Because all that stuff you keep repressed, you keep inside, and you internalize it. And the more I talked to people about it, they started remembering how badly they felt and how much they had to grieve in silence, basically. I needed an operation, which is called a DNC. And that's like a surgery where I had to have like full anesthesia. I had to go into an operating room. I wasn't told at all what to expect by my doctor, by the nurses in the hospital, by really anyone. If the miscarriage is not kind of complete as a process in a natural way, then you have to have this operation to make sure that everything is cleaned out and your uterus is cleaned out. What everyone kept telling me, even my own doctor, you're going to be in and out quickly, it's only going to take a couple of hours, and the next day you can like live your life normally and go back to work and whatever. And so it made me, my partner, and my family kind of feel like it's like a quick, painless, and it was my first time in an operating room. I was very scared the moment they like wheeled me out of the hospital room and into the operating room. I just didn't know what to expect, and I wish someone had helped me like visualize it. My husband actually had to sign a permission slip almost for me to get what is in Egypt called a legal abortion, because abortion is illegal, and so these types of miscarriages are labeled as legal abortion. After the procedure, it is a quick recovery, so you can leave the hospital the same day, but then they don't tell you how long you're going to like keep bleeding afterwards, how long it's gonna be kind of painful, and how you're gonna feel emotionally, and that was like the biggest part. And then I had to deal with everything that happened after completely on my own and like discover it as it was happening. It's a loss. You're grieving a loss. If you had intended to get pregnant, then it's something that you wanted. There was probably a moment of celebration. For me, it had been 2 months, so I had started telling close family and friends, and so there was the element of like, okay, now I have to go back to all these people and tell them that it's not happening, and see their reactions and kind of carry the burden of their disappointment as well as my own. Womena, like the HR manager and the founder, I literally went to them saying, the doctor said it's not going to take long, I need half a day off. And they were like, what? No. We think you should take at least 3 days plus the weekend, and if you need more time. That was the one space where I felt like they were actually giving it the magnitude it deserved. It wasn't being downplayed, it wasn't being diluted. Everywhere else around me, people think it will make you feel better to tell you, oh, Adi, like this person did it and this person had it, and you know your cousin and your neighbor, and it's as if there's more of us that have gone through this, then it makes it okay, and it means it's not difficult. You feel unheard, you feel like whatever you're feeling and experiencing is shameful, or maybe you shouldn't be feeling it. I realized how much people forget, how much people are either repressing that memory, or society forces them to forget and move on very, very quickly. Women's experiences of miscarriages are all-encompassing. They're emotional, they're mental, they're physical, they're hormonal, they're all the things. And so it takes a lot for your body to then balance out, like your hormones to balance out, for your uterus to actually like heal. You actually are not allowed to like have sex for a couple of weeks. And what people really don't talk about is that your connection to your body and the way you feel about your body as a woman, it really changes, because there's still so much shame and guilt associated with miscarriages. No matter how many doctors tell you that it's common, I had so much like faith in my body and my intuition and my gut and my instincts and all these things. I had never felt so betrayed by my body before. I guess maybe women experience it on like some level every month when you have your period. That's kind of like a missed opportunity to get pregnant, especially if you're trying to get pregnant. But a miscarriage is like a totally different experience. And it takes a while for you to be able to reconnect with yourself, with your emotions, with your body, to trust it again, to love it again. From my personal experience, the way it affects relationships is quite deep, and it's definitely something until this day I don't really understand how there's no like counseling that should be mandatory with anyone that goes through a miscarriage. When I did more research into this, I found that almost more than 22% of relationships actually end up failing after a miscarriage, and this is definitely something that's not talked about. That's not like local research, that's global, so I'm not sure how much it relates to the region or to Egypt, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked into more. When you're grieving in different ways, and when you as a woman are going through like a hormonal change and physical change, there's a lot of support that you need. And if you're the partner and no one tells you that that's what you should be ready to give to your wife or your significant other, then you're kind of like left to, it's kind of like a learning experience, and it's a bit of like learning as you go and discovering things that you've not heard anyone talk about before. So it makes it very, very difficult to navigate, and it takes a lot of really open and honest communication about how you're really feeling, and a lot of support and understanding for each other, and tolerating that grief and your experience of navigating that grief, even if it takes much, much longer than you think. It also affected my relationship to myself, because I felt like, why is it taking me so long to get over this? So I also put a lot of pressure on myself to get over it quickly, until I got to a point where I couldn't deny how difficult the experience was, and then I had to deal with it. I sought out therapy, I talked to a lot more people about it, and I'm thankful that I was able to get through it. But until this day, when I talk about it, I cry, I tear up, I get very emotional, and so it hasn't gone away completely.